Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Brittany and I dig into the tools and tech made for photographers and creative business owners. I test systems, break them down from a user's perspective, and report back so you can make informed choices with confidence. If that sounds helpful, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Today I wanted to look at Lightfolio, a lightweight system that gives photographers beautiful yet affordable client gallery options. I tried out Lightfolio previously from a client's point of view to see how keyboard accessible the galleries are, and that didn't go so well for them. This time though, I wanted to shift my focus to the photographer's experience and see how the system holds up from a workflow perspective. The impression I've had so far is that Lightfolio seems like a great fit for photographers who want to deliver their work in a professional gallery without the complexity or, more importantly, the higher price tag that often comes with heftier systems. What I hear most often is that their galleries are easy to set up, so I wanted to get in there and try it out for myself, and of course, share my thoughts along the way. This is all my own experience using Lightfolio. I have things in mind that are important for me to look at, and that might not align with what you want to see or hear about the system. If that does happen, I hope you can take my video as a launching off point and then trial Lightfolio for yourself with your own workflow and priorities in mind. They do have an always free tier for users, and also their paying tiers are fairly reasonably priced if you end up liking them. Okay. Truthfully, there's a lot of things to like about this system right off the bat. It's clean, it's not bogged down with information, and it's really easy to get rolling with. After creating an account and logging in, we're greeted by a short welcome and some creation quick start buttons for whatever element we're in need of. I moved through the initial gallery setup steps relatively quickly, and I think the only place I took my time at was picking a gallery design, which is my decision-making kryptonite in every system. And I didn't even notice on my first go round that it auto-filtered to the most popular designs. If I click all, there are so many more opportunities. After I finalized my design choices, I was taken into the main album workspace. The uploading for my first gallery was shockingly quick. I'm talking like 1 minute for 100 images. So I uploaded them again to test that speediness, and the second time it took just over 4.5 minutes. That's still fast, but it's also just long enough to make me want to work on setting up the other parts of the gallery. Which is where I ran into my first snag. If we try to navigate to a different menu like settings, the upload just stops. No warning, no prompt, it just completely clears the uploader. And that lack of feedback isn't limited to uploading. In the settings area, there is a save button, but it's occasionally hidden at the bottom of the page, and it's way too easy to adjust something, click away, and lose our changes without realizing it. These are the moments where a simple alert or warning could really improve the experience. Not because the system is slow or broken, but because the lack of communication makes it feel more incomplete than it needs to. Since I do want everything ready for my client, setting up the shop is a must. It's a simple process, but honestly, there's a lot left to be desired. For lab fulfillment, my only option is Bayphoto with just 5 product types available. If you're outside North America, you might see Loxley color instead, but I can't speak to what that setup or the product offerings include. With Bayphoto, by way of Lightfolio, the offered products are pretty standard, but there are no albums or holiday cards, which are likely to be missed by photographers familiar with other client gallery systems or Bayphoto as a lab. You can add your own products to create a hybrid self-fulfill setup, which is great if that's your thing. Personally, I've done the self-fulfill route before, and I'm totally good on that. I know what I want in my gallery shop, and for me, Lightfolio's offerings are just a bit too light. The other unfortunate thing is that I couldn't find a bulk price updater. I checked the main price sheet screen, the products themselves, the store settings, and I came up with nothing. So if we want to make pricing adjustments, we have to do it item by item. Also, please take note of the items offered. Do you see anything about paper type or mounting options? Because I don't. We'll revisit that in a minute. With our price list all set up, I'm ready to go back into my gallery, turn on the shop options, and get this little dude sent out. The sharing interface is very easy to digest and get a handle on. We have our direct link sharing in this area, as well as emailing directly from the Lightfolio system, complete with a message preview off to the right. It's cute, it's clean, and it does what it needs to do. Now, while I was checking the email out from the client's point of view, I did realize that at some point the system didn't set my sender name correctly, so that is something to look out for and change if needed. When I actually accessed the gallery as the client, I saw a beautiful presentation. It's easy to navigate with informative tooltips for each available icon. It looks great and it almost functions just as well. The operative word here being almost. I enabled the client help options to make sure my gallery was accessible, but when I clicked it in the client view, it just opened a blank pop-up. And when I scrolled in the box, it took the close icon and the next button with it. So this is just totally useless. The client's view of the shop is also where my little print shop cliffhanger picks back up. When the client selects an image they want a print of, chooses the item and size, they are taken into a menu with some further choices like mounting options and paper types. That's all fine and dandy, and I'm really glad that there's additional options. However, there's no way on the back end for the photographer to know that these are going to be offered or adjust their availability and pricing. Even if there's no adjustment for the photographer to make, I just wish there was a little more visual communication in the back end price sheet so that we know what our client will be seeing. Overall, I really like how the gallery looks. I think it's impressive and clients will love the appearance. To save myself time in the future, I set this first gallery and its settings as my default. That way, the only menu I'll need to touch going forward is the client access screen. That said, I do think the client access experience could be improved. If you set up a client account and leave the password field blank, so that the system automatically creates its own password, you'll definitely need to check the little email credentials to the client box, because otherwise that password the system created is nowhere to be found. I looked everywhere for this mystery password, email templates, client files, even the gallery settings, and nothing. Also, the screen for sending credentials isn't as polished as the main share screen. If you care about keeping that branded look, I'd recommend either creating a password yourself or switching the gallery to use a pin instead. Even with all the struggle bits I ran into, I do still stand by my initial impression that Lightfolio is a good option for photographers who need a quick, professional-looking gallery that won't break the bank. I know I complained more than I complimented, but honestly, the frustrations I had mostly came down to a lack of polish, which does reflect the lower price point. The core functionality is there and it works well for the most part, but some of the quirks I hit are the kind that would be smoothed out in a more expensive and complex system. That's not to say those pricier platforms are flawless either, but their pain points are a bit more subtle. As long as you know going in there's going to be a few eyebrow-raising elements, Lightfolio is more than capable of getting the job you need it to do done. Since Lightfolio is an all-in-one system, there's still a lot more for me to explore. I'm hoping to dive into those other features soon, but I do first need a Lightfolio timeout so that I can put that client gallery behind me and come back with a fresh mindset. Until then though, I'd love to know if you have ever used Lightfolio or if you've been intrigued by them in the past. Feel free to let me know in the comments. And also, if you liked this video and want to see more, I hope you'll consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that little bell so that you can be alerted whenever I release a new one. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.